Absolutism. Absolutism is about looking at things in a black and white, hard-wired way. This is difficult for some people who tend to be more emotionally driven than logically driven. I'm not one of those people. I don't have that affliction, which is why I'm qualified to teach a subject like this to you. And I'm going to tell you, even if you happen to be a person who leans more towards your emotions and your feelings than to your logic and rationality, that's okay, because we're all wired differently. You still need to understand this concept of absolutism and how it will help you be a more successful person in anything and everything that you do. Let's get into it. Point number one, most people live by a whole bunch of maybes, wishy-washy, quote unquote decisions that are not actual decisions. They're actually more like suggestions or wishes and possible estimations. But I want you to understand something, that these things, maybes and estimations and wishy-washy thoughts, they lead to indecision. If you read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, or his other book was one of my favorites called The Law of Success, he lists the 31 major causes of failure. You know what the number one thing on the list is? Indecision. An inability to make decisions and follow through on those decisions is the number one cause of failure in human beings. And that's because most people live by a whole bunch of maybes and suggestions that they are cloaking as decisions, but they're not real decisions, which leads us to point number two. Successful people operate by absolutes and decisions. The word decision comes from the Latin term decidere. Decidere means to cut off. That literally means to cut off. When you make a decision, you are sticking to this and you're cutting off every other possibility. Most human beings don't like to do that, because when you cut off every other possibility, what does that sound like? That's a commitment, and now you are held accountable to following through on that commitment. And a lot of people don't want to be held accountable to a commitment that can be measured, because that means they have to actually follow through and do something rather than just talk about things. But successful people put hard lines down that may not be crossed, and they operate by these absolutes at all times. That's the reason why they are able to achieve things the way that they do. It's the reason why they tend to be very objective, very black and white, and they tend to take hard lines when it comes to achieving things. And if you're not that type of person, it may be kind of intimidating dealing with individuals like this when you first come across them. I'm telling you why. Number three, people who operate by absolutism, they see certain things as unacceptable and not to be tolerated. When something is unacceptable, that means when it comes into your world, you immediately do something about it that is absolute to where that thing can no longer be around. You should ask yourself the following question. What things in your life, or if they ever came into your life, are completely unacceptable? You will not tolerate them. They cannot go on. You will not allow them to exist in your world, and you will absolutely do something as soon as they come around, if they come around, as opposed to what most people do, which is look at them, think about them, say, oh, maybe I should do something about this. Maybe I'll fix this. Maybe I'll change it someday, one day, maybe. That's how most people operate. You want to be like the top 2% of people. You got to start thinking and operating in absolutes, not maybes. You want to learn how to do this mentally, then start doing it tangibly in your life and in your business. Come to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Have me as your direct coach, and let's get to work on it. Work on your game.